Hello. How's it going, people? Welcome to the stream. Welcome. And today it is Monday the 4th of February. And today we gonna still deep dive into the situations. Basically, there are some more things I need to get off my chest regarding Arsenal, regarding situations surrounding Arsenal, and more specifically in terms of the fact that season has ended. Usually it ends around April in this regard, or March, late March, in terms of Champions League, in terms of Premier League, in terms of cups. But Arsenal have managed to do it in a way this season specifically that in January/early February all the cups are done. Season in Premier League in mid-February. To be honest, it has been done much sooner, but people just didn't accept that. But it has finally, people are starting to wake up to it. It has been done for long over time. Only place where we have a chance is Champions League. And when I say we have a chance, I mean we are in it. I don't think, obviously we are not going to win it. We still need to get past PSV to even progress anywhere out of that place. So it is looking very rough. That is basically the big thing about season for Arsenal that has ended, what we're going to talk about. Second part, what we're going to talk about, which basically is going to be weaved in together, about the fact that the future is not looking bright. Because, how to say this properly, because we have to look in the future, see what's going to happen, see where this is going to go. And again, it's not looking bright, especially I think, first things first, this season, because we still have 13 games to go. And already, based on how we looked against West Ham, based on how we are doing things, again, it is not looking bright in terms of, Premier League. And we are not going to talk Champions League, but I'm even going to talk about summer and next window, because it's rinse and repeat. Every single season, as soon as we fall short of something, as soon as something is not going the right direction, we got told the summer we're gonna deploy the war chest and everything. We are still waiting for that war chest to be deployed pretty much since we moved to Emirates. We haven't actually deployed proper war chest because signing one big player is huge. Like we signed Declan Rice, it's 105 million and everything. But to add on top of that, we haven't done it. We have been in multiple situations as Arsenal when we are this close, literally millimeters close, to being up there, to challenging, to winning even, you could say. And we haven't done it. And we, in the next transfer window, we generally need to make 2, 3, maybe 4 signings in general, at worst. And we are up there and we are pretty much winning it to some extent. And we don't do that. We basically do the bare minimum to win, to basically stay in top 4. And that was the case under Arsene Wenger. And now that is the same case under Mikel Arteta, and that is the big issue. And that basically weaves in also with the third part of the stream, where we are talking about what will Arteta and Josh Kroenke in this regard, because he actually takes care of Arsenal. Stan is just doing something, I guess, in USA. What will they do? Because ultimately, Kroenkes are happy with top 4. We all know that. We all know that over the years. We have seen it, we have lived it, and we're gonna live it over and over and over again until basically it stops existing, until we get new ownership. And this is basically why I'm looking from top to bottom at the club, and pretty much we are a mess on every single level. Let's be real, we are a mess in ownership, we are a mess in management, we are a mess in board, and we are in mess as players as well, because we have done same thing we did when we sacked Arsene Wenger, when we had Unai Emery, and when just Mikel Arteta took over. We have a squad full of players that are not good enough, who are mid-table team level, lower-end team level, even championship level team level players, who should be on actually some small salaries, but we have put those players on world-class level, on Champions League level type of salaries. And Arsenal overall, this is what it is. That is what it is. And that's what this all stream again is going to be about. And when I say again, I mean because nothing's changing. So it feels like you're beating the same dead horse over and over and over again. We're squeezing the same fruit over and over and over again, like Mikel Arteta likes to do, until it's fully dry. And when it's dry, we keep squeezing and we pray that still something comes out of it. Basically, that's where we are as a club. And it basically stems from this at the moment. It stems from this. It all comes from this when Stan Kroenke, purchasing Arsenal and everything, came out and said, I didn't buy Arsenal to win trophies. Big up Liam. Big up my guy. Hope you're doing well. Hope you have gone over the embarrassment we suffered at Emirates in hand of West Ham once again. And yeah, it is what it is. This is basically where everything starts. Stan Kroenke said he didn't buy Arsenal stake to win trophies. It started there. The board continued it with signings, with hiring people who are not, I would say, equipped to do the job the right way. Let's be real, because we have basically people in charge who are not football people. That for me is the biggest thing. We should have in the board people who actually understand how world of football works, how transfers work, how what happens to some extent in players' minds when you go for transfers, when you try and sign, when you offer contracts, when things are not going your way, how football players think. That's what we need in the club. But overall, we only have plain old, well, based on these things, simple people, if that makes any sense. That's like basically you are doing a job, you're doing your job, and that's about it. You are not doing the job maybe deeply enough. You are not doing your job in a way that you should be doing it. That's like basically you're learning a job to be, for example, I don't know. Let me think about this. Like proper analogy, I don't even know. You maybe think you're studying, for example, let me think. You're studying to become a car mechanic at the end of the day, and all you do basically is change tires. Ultimately, that's what you do. And that's what feels like Arsenal are doing. We have basically simple lawyers in the board, simple accountants in the board who know how to sign contracts, who know how to offer contracts, but they don't actually know and understand how it should be done. They know the basics, they know the principles, but they don't know how to apply them to everyday football life. Basically, that's what it feels like. That's the same goes for ownership, because we have USA owners. And that already is speaking big high volumes of trouble in general, because if you watch USA sports, if you watch the sports that basically ownerships and everything that are across the pond in the USA, you see that you have franchises. You don't have actually teams, you have franchises. And you can move that franchise if legally it's allowed to a different state, to different city and everything. It has happened before. It used to be Seattle Supersonics. Then it became Oklahoma City Thunder. And it's been all over the place. Stan Kroenke, his LA Rams, it's right now. St. Louis Rams, it's moving all over the place. And basically they're doing the same model and they're trying to apply it here. They're making it a business more than anything. And it's not working. And it will never work in world football. It's never gonna work in, well, the USA, it's called in USA soccer. It's never gonna work the same way it's working in the USA, because it's not the same culture, it's not the same structure, and it's not the same principles that should be applied. And basically that, to some extent, is one of the biggest reasons why we're failing. Is the ownership, it's the board, and after that, of course, comes the manager, and then comes the players. But ultimately everything stems from the owners, because they have hired the board, they have hired the manager. Then it all comes down to the board and the manager, because they are in charge, obviously, while the owners are in USA, and they sign the players. And then it, of course, comes to manager, because he signs the players he wants, and he doesn't know how to manage them. And then, of course, players, because players get a lot of stick for all of things they do. Let's be real, they get paid very pretty dollar for maybe things they are not equipped well enough to do. Basically, that's what it is. They are not good enough, and they get a lot of stick. And maybe at some times, if you focus solely on the players and performances, the hierarchy basically gets a free pass because, well, basically they are not in the limelight because they don't play the game for 90 minutes every single week, two, 3 times. Basically, that's what it is for me. At least that's how I see it. So it is what it is, I guess. We have to swallow that pill quite heavily because it doesn't look like it's gonna change. It doesn't look like it's gonna improve, and it doesn't feel like anything is gonna come better and better and better until this ownership goes. Because for Arsenal, it feels like at least that way. Arsenal have lost itself since they moved from Highbury, basically. The name, the franchise, if you will, if you continue the analogy I began, it has moved to Emirates. But the soul, the whole essence of the team, Arsenal itself, has been left at Highbury. That's what it is at the end of the day. That's what it feels like. And until we get ownership that actually cares about the football itself, because it's very rare when you have ownership that doesn't care about the sport doing well. Let's be real. It's very rare when that happens. And if it doesn't happen, basically you are basically destined to doom to fail ultimately, because to some extent, as much as, for example, the people who own Man City, they might not care about football, but they have hired the right people in charge, people who care about football, people who care about the sport, and people who know how to make executive decisions in the best interests of the sport, in the best interests of the club, and especially in everything, in the best interest of the club, so it can move forward with progression, not stagnate in the same place and not regress. The way Arsenal is run, it's a completely different story, because Kroenke is all they want is top 4. Arsene Wenger came out at the time and said top 4 is like a trophy. And basically that has been the mentality of Arsenal. Because as I said, we always have been, not always, but many times this close to winning a title, to getting something we desire for ages, for years, for decades and stuff like that. And we need to sign 2, 3, maybe 4 players at worst. Let's be real, at worst, when we need to sign genuinely 2, 3 key players to basically actually do it. And we never do. We never do. Because ultimately, when we do that, there's no place to hide for ownership, there's no place to hide for the board, and there's no place to hide for the manager. Because ultimately, that's what it is. And with Mikel Arteta in the interviews coming out and saying that this is the best ownership he has ever worked under, they're super hungry, they want to win and everything, it doesn't show. It genuinely doesn't show. Doesn't show whatsoever anywhere in the world. If he says it's the best ownership in the world, hasn't he worked at Man City? Doesn't he understand what true ownership is all about, first of all? And second of all, if he says this is the best ownership, and they haven't won a Premier League in 21 years, if they haven't won Champions League ever, and we, in recent times, very rarely win FA Cup, not even to mention Carabao Cup, it's not it. That's lying through the teeth to the maximum extent. Oh, but Arteta wanted a striker and Kroenke didn't give it to him and everything. They have given him the money. They have. Let's not kid ourselves. Kroenke have given Arteta the money. They have given him nearly 800 million over these times. And he has totally neglected the forward position in general in the Arsenal's team. He has totally neglected that because he has signed about billion defenders, billion goalkeepers, billion midfielders. And he hasn't signed pretty much any forwards whatsoever. He signed Willian, well, that has gone well. He signed Marquinhos, that has gone well. He signed Trossard, which basically to some extent has actually worked, let's be real. But overall, long term, he is not the solution and the answer. He's not the starting guy to get us over the line. He signed... well, that's about it, let's be real. He signed Havertz, but he said himself he signed him as a midfielder. He said you need 55 games to realize what the player is all about. But after about 20 odd games when it didn't work, in midfield, he stuck him up top because the shit was hitting the fan. And he somehow got lucky. And he signed Jesus, who obviously is more of a winger than a striker. We binned off Aubameyang. for nothing. The board were celebrating for letting him go for free, and in 3 years we still haven't replaced Aubameyang. In summer it's gonna be 3.5 years since we let Aubameyang go, and we still haven't managed, after since then about 400 million plus spent, sign a striker. Again, that is not on the ownership again. This is now on Mikel Arteta. Because everything this club is built since Mikel Arteta has been here has been done with a purpose. By default, by a purpose for a specific system. Youngest team in the league, done with purpose. Wielding a team from defense, done by purpose. Not signing a striker, it's done on purpose. Let's be real, don't kid yourself. It's been done on purpose. Because there is no other logical explanation why we've been off Aubameyang, Golden Boot winning Aubameyang when Arteta inherited him, who handed him FA Cup on silver platter. And you saw that there is actually possibilities. And yet he completely dissected the team. Only we have 3 players from those times. Let's be real, we have Tierney, Saka and Martinelli. Saka didn't play. Martinelli was injured. And the only player who played in the final was Tierney, which Arteta doesn't rate whatsoever, by the way. It's everything has been done by design. Youngest player team in the league and everything. It's been all done by design. There is no way to hide from this. And to some extent, I am very caught in between 2 minds about this. Because I want Arteta gone. It's not a secret. Everyone knows it who watches this channel. And big up to everyone who is watching. If you haven't already, like the stream, subscribe, leave your thoughts in the live chat and everything. But I want Arteta gone. And to add on top of that, I also understand there's a big possibility he's not leaving. He's gonna stay. He signed a new deal last year and everything, right? And as much as I don't want Arteta given any single money, because he has created this mess, and let him coach himself out of this mess. And it's pretty much evident that he's not good enough. This small squad also has been made by design, because Arteta doesn't know how to manage 25, 26, 30 players. That's why he has such a small squad. Because we predominantly play the same 11 almost every single game, with maybe 1 substitution, maybe 2, and then we maybe have someone coming off the bench. But again, those players coming off the bench are nowhere good enough. But going back to Arteta, why am I caught between 2 minds? Because, as I said, I want Arteta gone. It's not a secret. Whether you agree or disagree, that's up to you. Because I got already told in comments today, on another stream I did, that I should be supporting different team because I want Arteta gone and I'm stupid. Basically, that's what I got told. It is what it is. People are entitled to their opinions, right? But why am I caught between 2 minds? It's because, on one hand, I realize Arteta is staying. I don't want him getting any more money for the windows and let him himself coach him out of this mess, right? For summer, let's just say we finish top 4 and everything, don't give him money. Sack him and everything. At the same time, he stays. Okay, cool. Don't give him the money. Let him sign a striker. Because then comes the other end of the spectrum. There is no place to hide for this manager. There's no place to hide for the board, for the ownership, and for the manager. Because we don't know if Arteta even can manage a striker. We had a striker, he made him play left wing back. We had a striker, he played at 6 half the time in Lacazette. Since then, he hasn't signed a striker. Let him sign the striker, and if he fails again, that pretty much shows is not good enough. He doesn't know what he's doing, and he's not gonna get us over the line at the end of the day. And then again comes the big accountability on Arteta, on board, and the ownership. But they don't want that, let's be real. Because if Arteta gets provided a striker, and even then he cannot get it over the line, he's done. There is no place to hide anymore. Because every single season, I have heard different types of excuses for why we haven't won the league, especially in the last 3 years, including this one. And it always has been the same. Oh, it was the injuries. Oh, we don't have a striker. Last year, we didn't have a striker, and we had no injuries. So that was the striker thing. 2 years ago, oh, Saliba got injured, we shouldn't even be challenging. To some extent, fair, because nobody expected us to challenge, even myself included. This season, we still don't have a striker, and we have injuries. Injuries is not an excuse, because a team, we're talking about a team, a squad, where when someone gets injured, you have a proper replacement. Do we have that in the squad after nearly 800 million spent? No, we don't. We don't have anyone to replace Saliba if shit hits the fan, to properly replace Raya if shit hits the fan, to replace Saka. As much as I don't rate him, it's Odegaard, we don't have nobody to replace him. Our left side has been a mess since Granit Xhaka, by the way, left Arsenal. Imagine that. Our team, our left side has been a total garbage mess since Granit flippin' Xhaka has left Arsenal. Oh, Merino is gonna unlock him. We are playing our Merino as a striker, for fuck's sake. How is that gonna work out? Phase 5, almost phase 6 already, and we are playing our number 6 as a number 9. Which club does that? Does Pep Guardiola play Nico as a number 9? Did Wenger play Patrick Vieira as a number 9? Does Bayern Munich with Vincent Kompany play Paulinho as a number 9? Any of the big clubs ever do that when they have striker issues? No, they don't. They go in the market, they sign the necessary players, and they keep going until the players come back from injuries. But Arsenal don't do that. We are very, very... Top 4 is like a trophy. We got bantered for getting top 4. We got bantered to maximum extent for getting top 4 on consistent basis and not winning nothing. And let's be real. We are in the same position as we were. Nothing has changed. Only difference currently is the fact that at least under Arsene Wenger we won few FA Cups here or there. Under Mikel Arteta we are winning F all. That is the only difference. Because finishing second, third, fourth means actually jack shit. Because at the end of the season you're not doing this. You are not lifting a trophy. You don't see armpits. You don't see anything. It's an imaginary trophy. Oh, but Arsenal have the amazing record against top 6. What a record for Arsenal. What a trophy for Arsenal. Oh, Arsenal are unbeaten in 15 games in a row. Third loss of the season only. What a trophy for the Arsenal. It means actually nothing until you win something. And I strongly believe that Mikel Arteta is not the guy. And that's why I am to some extent caught in between two minds. Because to some extent, as I said, I want him gone at the end of the season. On the other side, give him the money, sign a striker, and if you still don't win nothing, then you're even a bigger fraud than you even said before. Because when the first season we challenged, Mikel Arteta came out and said, we don't need a number 9 because we spread the goals around. That was the season when Martinelli was flying. When Odegaard was flying, Saka was flying, our whole team was flying. Saliba gets injured, we have to play Rob Holding, by the way, as a center back who cannot get kick at, couldn't get kick at for Crystal Palace, who is now at Birmingham City, wherever he is at the moment, Championship, League One, wherever he is. We signed in January that season Jakub Kiwior for center back spot. He didn't even get a kick. We played Rob Holding instead of him. Kiwior was tying his boots as other teams were scoring against us. Oh, but he needs time. Oh, but give this, give that. Now, we fast forward to last season. We struggled to score goals. We draw against 10-man Fulham. We lose to West Ham at home. We go 1-7 in December. What Mikel Arteta does? Comes out in January and says, oh, but we don't have a number 9 who we can rely upon scoring 20 plus goals a season. Complete opposite for what he said a year before. Shouldn't you have different dimensions in the attack? Shouldn't you have different options in the attack? You spread the goals around, okay, cool. But how about when it doesn't work? Maybe you should have a front man. You should have a target man just to switch it up. Oh, but we don't. Oh well. Then we have 3 windows since he said that. 2 Januaries, 1 summer. And he still hasn't signed a striker. Incompetence on the highest level. Negligence, arrogance, however you want to call it. Again, not good enough. And now we are where we are. We are in this mess. And let's be real, we are not in a title race. We haven't been in a title race arguably since, well, December. I said that to some extent that we are, I said even in predictions in the early season, we are not winning the league. We're most likely going to finish second. That's what I said then. I said Man City are going to win it. Liverpool are going to be close third. And then the fourth place is going to be between Villa, between Newcastle and teams like that. But nobody expected Nottingham Forest being up there. And now, let's be real, we are in a top 4 race. Oh, Man City are 9 points behind us. 9 points. The way we are playing, the way we saw 2 days ago how we are playing. We are lucky if we're going to finish in top 4. We haven't secured top 4 as well. We are close. This distance that's between us and Liverpool currently, the 11 points, is the same distance from us to 7th place. Everything can switch around very quickly. And let's be real. It could happen in a blink of an eye. It genuinely could happen in a blink of an eye. And what we're gonna do then, nobody knows. What's gonna happen then, also nobody knows. But there is a big possibility we actually might not get top 4 this season. There's a big possibility. And what's gonna happen then? What's gonna happen then? Because top Gunners were saying, if we don't win the league, we finish second behind City, Arteta should go. We're now gonna lose league to Liverpool. Our team was built to capitalize on City's downfall. City have a downfall. We still are not winning the league. And everything. These top Gunners move the goalposts whichever way they want, which is very advantageous for their argument. So at the end of the day, they look like they're right. And obviously they put it out on YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, wherever. And Arsenal social media see this. They read this. Let's be real, especially from the bigger accounts. They see that. They report it back to Kroenke's. They could report it back to other Arsenal hierarchy. They look like everything's fine. And then they say, cool, we're in the clear. We don't need to do anything. And that's what it is. As long as this club, our fan base, doesn't start holding Kroenke's, Tim Lewis, Richard Garlick, Mikel Arteta, even some players to some extent, to accountable about this mess they have created, nothing ever will change. Ever. But hey, what do I know? I'm toxic, I'm negative, and I'm useless. I should piss down the lane and support Spurs. That's what pretty much quite a bit of my comments are telling me. In the last month or so, I would say about 50% of my comments, I don't get them a lot. I kid you not. That's why I can still filter through them. I can see them. I read them. And if I have a time, I answer to pretty much every single one. But I see about 50% of the comments, if not more, say, I'm a fake fan. I'm an idiot. If I want Arteta gone, I'm a moron. And if I want Arteta gone, I'm not a real Arsenal fan and I should go support Spurs. That's what they're saying. But hey, I guess it is what it is. Everyone's entitled to their opinion, right? But anyways, here we go. Here we bloody go. Sorry, misclick. This is the biggest thing. This is the tweet. This is the process. Arsenal have the best record against top 6. That's what we get pushed by top Gunners. But how about this? How about games that actually matter more? Because Arsenal, overall, hasn't had that big of an issues against top 6. Yes, against City when they're balling and everything, Liverpool at Anfield and stuff like that. But overall, we tend to do good against Chelsea, against United, against Spurs. We always have done decently well against top 6 sides. Our biggest downfall always have been the smaller teams. Your Fulhams, West Hams, Evertons, Burnleys, Southamptons, all these teams. And here it is, Arsenal's last 20 games, versus Newcastle, Fulham, Villa, and West Ham. And this is under Mikel Arteta, by the way. 20 games, 4 wins. 4 wins! 5 draws, and 11 losses. More than 50% of the games we have lost against these teams. And let's not kid ourselves. Those games against Fulham and West Ham last year cost us the title. We drew to 10-man Fulham at home in the early stages of the season, when we played Partey as a right back and Gabriel was benched. For what reason, God knows why. We lost 2-0 against West Ham at home. Could have been 3-0 because Declan Rice gave away a penalty. Luckily, Raya saved it. Fulham away, we lost that one as well. Aston Villa, we struggled quite a bit. We lost 2-0 to Fulham in that incredible 15 1-1 run we did in the second part of the season. And people say we lost the league there. We didn't. We lost the league when we went 1-7 in December. When we drew to 10-man Fulham at home. Because let's be real. If we don't draw that game against 10-man Fulham at home, instead of 1 point, we get 2. We are on the same point as Man City. And our goal difference would have been better. So we won the league. We lost the league pretty much in the 5th or 6th game of the season already, if you want to look it that way. Because these top gooners and everyone have a goldfish memory. They remember only the recent times, last 2-3 games. They don't recall the games that happened a year ago, 2 years ago. They don't want to see the patterns that are weaving through the web over the years. Because if you actually look at it, if you actually look at the complete picture of how everything has developed at Arsenal under Mikel Arteta, especially in the last season and a half, 2 seasons, it was inevitable that we will have this type of a downfall. It was inevitable. Let's not kid ourselves. It was inevitable. Let's be real. But I guess, hey, people see what they want to see, not what they need to see. That's what it is. That's the same thing goes, people hear what they want to hear. And that's what it is as well. Unfortunately, that's what's the biggest pain of them lot in this. That's what is the biggest pain of it all in all this system and issues. And as you can tell by the tone of my voice, I'm not even ranting today. I'm not vexed. Because to some extent, I don't want to say I'm checked out completely, but partially I have checked out. I'm supporting Arsenal. I'm watching the games. Yes, I want us to win. But the way this club, year after year, and this is just not under Mikel Arteta, but over the years, has basically given us hope, just yanked the hope in front of our eyes, in front of our noses, and just then yanked it off and just said ha 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 and all that stuff, is slowly defeating me. 21 years without Premier League, 32 years without Carabao Cup, 5 years now without FA Cup, and we are not even talking about Champions League because that has never ever happened. It's slowly defeating me. I'm not gonna lie. 23 and a half years as an Arsenal fan. It's slowly defeating me. 23 and a half years, and it's starting to defeat me slowly but steadily. At least I have seen Arsenal win Premier League. That is the big thing. That's the good thing. I have seen us winning Premier League. Still hurts the games in Champions League when Henry had a chance for us to win it all, but he didn't. It still hurts, but we sacked Wenger for not winning trophies, for not winning Premier League, for not getting top 4. But the last 5 years under Arsene Wenger have been 4 times more successful than the 5.5 years under Mikel Arteta. What does that tell you? What does that tell you, actually? That's actually embarrassment to the highest level. 1 final in 5.5 years. We are doomed. We are doomed. Anyways, let's look at something positive. A bit of a positivity doesn't hurt in these times, let's be real. Gabriel Magalhaes, our best center back in the last year and a half. since World Cup, let's just put it that way, has won a Player of the Month for Arsenal, which for January, which is deserved, 100% in my opinion. Yes, in the recent times it has been a 50-50 because he has to cover Saliba's head loss, because what it feels like, Saliba as well mentally has checked out, partially. He with mentally, to some extent, is already at Madrid. And let's be real, if we get past PSV, right, in Champions League, if we get past PSV, because at the moment it's a big if, and we face Real Madrid, right, we go to Santiago Bernabeu. But for Saliba, I don't think it will be as much as an audition as he is gonna get the tour of the Bernabeu. So this is where you're gonna play. Papa Perez will come out. Someone else will come out. Probably Camavinga, Tchouaméni, Mbappe, Mendy. All of them will come out and say, "Welcome, brother." So look, this is where you're gonna play. You, Camavinga, yeah, your dressing cabinet room is gonna be here. You're gonna sit next to Camavinga in the dressing rooms and everything. We are serial winners. We win trophies every single year. And I know you want to be best in the world. You want to be one of the best defenders in the world in recent times. So we all know your qualities. We all know how good you are. Just come to us and let's be real. You're going to win trophies no matter what. It's not even going to be audition because Real Madrid already are scouting center backs. They're looking at Lukeba from RB Leipzig. They're looking at Saliba. And if we face Real Madrid, I strongly believe it's actually not gonna be an audition for Saliba, as much as it's gonna be just an excursion for Saliba through at the Bernabeu Stadium when we go there. That could be the case. That's how it feels like. Because Saliba is starting to make mistakes he's never made before. Gabriel is trying to cover him at times, obviously. And I think the Real Madrid links have gone to him. He is partially mentally checked out as well. Like big part of the fan base have checked out. I think also Saliba is slowly checking out and he just wants out. It's not as coincidence that Saliba is coming out in interviews and saying that if he wants to be one of the best defenders in the world, he needs to win titles. And let's be real, Arsenal cannot guarantee him that these days. Especially with Mikel Arteta at the wheel. In one of their most recent interviews, he even added Gabriel into this mix and said we are arguably one of the best center-back pairings in Europe right now. But if we want to be considered one of the best, if not the best, again, we need to win titles. He's starting to add even Gabriel to the mix. Although Gabriel has said he wants to stay at Arsenal. Arsenal currently are looking to extend contracts to certain players, to some of their best players, by the way. And this is what Ian Wright had to say. And I kid you not, it's not pretty. Ian Wright is concerned that Arsenal could lose William Saliba in the summer. And let's be real, I am as well. It would stand to the reason, in my opinion. When you're talking about renewals with certain players like Saka, Gabriel, and Saliba, the way they're moving now, I bet those renewals are going to be slow. Because we're going to have a situation maybe like with Liverpool, with Trent, Salah, and Virgil. Same thing. If I'm one of these players and their teams are going to be saying, let's wait and see, we got 2 years left, so let's wait and see who they get in summer. I know the manager has signed again, but let's wait and see. If they are not going to get the kind of players that take us to the next step, look at Saliba. Real Madrid would take him tomorrow, and that is the case. Why not wait and see what's going in the summer to see the kind of players and caliber of players we are signing? And let's be real, I completely agree with this, what Ian Wright has said here. If you had time, and if you still remember Robin van Persie's letter to Arsenal? When he said he met with the board, he met with the manager and everything to discuss contract and everything, future plans, as he was the captain at the time. And it was pretty much evident that the future plans didn't go hand in hand with what Van Persie had envisioned. And I cannot blame Van Persie for leaving Arsenal, because Arsenal showed lack of ambition already then. It was under Cesc Fabregas as well. Same thing, same stories. And it's not a coincidence that this could happen once again, because Arsenal are doing this in a circle. They're doing this again and again and again and again, and nothing is changing. We consistently pushed genuinely the weight of the world on teenagers' shoulders, like we did with Cesc, like we did with Nasri, Ramsey, Wilshere, Emil Smith-Rowe, Bukayo Saka are doing the same thing with Ranieri. And Arsenal currently are doing the same thing with contracts, because we're trying to extend contracts. Some players will sign, I can 100%, but some won't. Some players actually have an ambition. And how long will you sit there and watch this team be genuinely this close every single bloody season again and again and again and again without winning anything? How long? How long they will suffer this mental torture? Because challenging 1 year, getting close and not winning it, okay. Challenging 2 years, especially losing on the last, technically on the last day of the season, but overall losing it by 2 points, even more mentally damaging. And in the third year, predominantly, it's a downfall. You check out a bit mentally because you don't have mental strength anymore to challenge on consistent basis, like you did the previous 2 seasons. And the fourth season, unless you make the proper signings, the real signings, world-class level signings, it could get even worse. And how long will Saliba stand for this? How long will Gabriel, even Saka to some extent, will stand for this? Until they say, nope, I'm not going to resign, I'm leaving on free. Nope, I don't want to resign, I'm handing in transfer requests. How long? How long do you give them? Like, serious talk. How long can you suffer in this? It's the same thing as me at work. Well, not exactly like me at work, because but in comparison, you go to work, you work there for 4, 5, 6 years. For the last 3-4 years, your boss is telling you, you're gonna get a promotion soon, salary increase, your own office, and all this jazz. And he says this 1 year, you don't get it. He says this another year, you don't get it. And you says this the third year, and you don't get it. At some point, you're gonna turn around and you will be mentally checked out. Because the longer it gets prolonged, the less inspiration you have to work and put yourself into this work. And at some point, you will be fed up with this. And let's be real. You're generally gonna go and hand in your resignation letter. And that, the same thing currently, I think, is gonna happen with Saliba, maybe someone else. Because unlike some players that are playing for Arsenal, based on everything, Saliba actually has ambitions. He has stated consistently and constantly in his interviews, and it's pretty much evident that Arsenal, no matter how much money they spend by the looks of things, are not gonna be the ones to do it. Let's be real. They're not gonna be the ones. So it's painful. It genuinely is painful. To some level, I feel hella defeated as an Arsenal fan. That is the worst part in all of this. Anyhow. Big up Marlon. Worst Arsenal number 10 of all time. I wouldn't... Ozil, worst number 10. I wouldn't say he's the worst, but to some extent I get your point. Because he's our captain. He should be one that gets us over the line. Everyone should be turning to him for help, for support. He should be the one that leads by example. But all he leads by is failure, especially in the last season and a half. And that is genuinely as embarrassing as well. Anyways, next 4 games for Arsenal. 2 in Premier League, 2 in Champions League. Forest away, that we play in 2 days. Tomorrow is going to be the preview, that we play on Wednesday. In a week, then we play in Champions League. Then we play Manchester United. And then we play PSV. And the worst part is, Forest is away. First game against PSV is away. And then the United game also is away. We have 3 away games on the bounce, and then the second game in Champions League against PSV at home. How many games of these do you think Arsenal are going to win? Like, serious question. How many games do you think Arsenal are going to win out of these 4 games? How many? Because based on what I saw against West Ham at home, by the way, and the fact that we are incapable of beating mid or even low blocks, I can guarantee you Forest are gonna pull that off. They played a somewhat attacking against Newcastle, but against Arsenal, they will do that. They're gonna play mid-low block because it's pretty much evident that there is a blueprint out there in Premier League and world football how to beat Mikel Arteta. Because he has one style, he has one plan, he has one idea how to win, how to play, and he's not gonna change it whatsoever. He has no ideas mid-game. Whenever camera turns to him, he has a desperate deer in headlights look when we play, and it's not looking too good, is it? And that for me is a big, big worry. And you know what's the worst part? Arteta has showed in history, in the first season, even in the third season, that he actually is flexible. He can change formations. He can change approaches. He can change styles. But in the last 3 years, we have seen none of it. He's sticking to one style, one idea, and when it's not working, he's lost. That for me is a big, big issue. Because in the first season, when we won the FA Cup, he played 3 at the back, he played 5 at the back, depends how you look at it. At times he played 4-2-3-1. In the second season, he played 4-2-3-1, 4-3-3, and on occasion he switched the formations around to 4-4-2 or 3 at the back as well. In game, but not as starting formation, obviously. Since then, it's been pretty much constant 4-3-3/4-2-3-1. For the last 3.5 seasons, it's been the same formation every single time. I think maybe 2-3 times he has played a different formation in 4-4-2. But besides that, he plays the same position, same style, same system, and same formation every single time. No flexibility, no new ideas, same shit, rinse and repeat, and he expects different results. I think it was Einstein who said that doing the same thing over and over and over and over again and expecting different results is basically a sign of insanity. And that's what it feels like. Arsenal are genuinely driving me insane, a big part of the fan base insane, and yeah, nothing more to add. I'm not gonna lie, I was expecting to be more energetic this stream. I'm very sorry if it feels very lackluster, but I was expecting to be more energetic, to have more emotions. But overall, I'm not gonna lie, I feel somewhat defeated. And yeah, that's why I'm so very... I'm not sad, but I feel a bit like dejected from the club. Let's just put it that way, because the way we are moving, it's very, very rough. It's very rough and painful. And I can guarantee you that, for example, if we're gonna play and we gonna lose, and again in embarrassing fashion against Nottingham Forest, those emotions are again gonna break out, because I'm sick and tired of losing, of failing, as this club is doing on consistent basis these days, and everything. But overall, at the moment, you know, when you have the... I'm licking my wounds, let's just put it that way, as an Arsenal fan, because as much as Arsenal have scarred me and given me pain over the years at times, this year somehow feels very, very much more painful than the last 2 years. And even years before that. This year somehow feels much more painful. Whether it's the money spent, the fact that we have had countless windows, countless opportunities to take our chances, and we basically say, screw that, we don't need those chances. Then we have had chances to win the league, and Arteta has said, nah, screw that, I don't want to win the league, and everything. I don't know. Obviously, it's one of those. I can't say I don't know, but it's one of those. But overall, yeah, it's very, very, very painful, soul draining, and everything. And that's why I am the way I am at the moment. I'm not very like cussing anyone out. I'm not very energetic and ranting. That's why I'm very, I don't know. Don't want to say sad per se, but somewhat drained of all of this crap, because I'm sick and tired of it. 100% there will be a stream in near future where I'm gonna let everything out, but currently it's not the time and it's not the place. Anyways, striker situation. More links, more pain, more waffle, and more crap. Apparently, according to reports, Arsenal are one of many teams keeping a close eye on Frankfurt striker Hugo Ekitike ahead of the summer transfer window. The 22-year-old has scored 12 goals and recorded 3 assists in 22 Bundesliga appearances this season, so 15 points out of 22 games. The striker is 6'3" tall. Nice. Why did I have to put that in? I have no idea. Would you like to see Arsenal sign the Frenchman? I don't know. I genuinely don't know. As much as I watch Bundesliga, as much as I'm a big fan of Eintracht Frankfurt, the way they play football, I'm not completely and entirely sold on their striker position situation, because the way I've seen them farm strikers, sell them for insane money, and then they flop wherever they go, I'm very cautious about this, because Jovic was a world beater at Eintracht Frankfurt. He went to Real Madrid, flop of the century, what it feels like. Alea was balling there, went to Borussia Dortmund, failed. Who else was there? Colomwani, 80 million from Frankfurt to PSG, a flop, and everything. So I'm not too sure I want to go through this with Arsenal, especially if they require a top dollar. Plus, he's French. Arteta hasn't signed a single Frenchman since he's been at the wheel, so why the hell we are linked with any French players? That is also something weird. We haven't signed a single French player since Mikel Arteta has taken reins of Arsenal. In 5.5 years, Arteta hasn't signed a single Frenchman. Not sure why and from where this hatred from France comes from Mikel Arteta, but it feels kinda rough. And I would understand that if he signed actually proper Spanish talent, but he can't even do that, right? He signed some Spanish wannabe players that are actually at best mid-table quality. That for me is even the worst. I don't know. I don't goddamn fucking know. It's actually kinda nuts to say the least. Anyhow, Arsene Wenger. You remember him? Arsene Wenger has spoken about Ethan Nwaneri, and let's be real, when Arsene Wenger speaks about youngsters and quality, you better goddamn listen, because he was one of those people who actually had some proper talent ID, who knew if the player was good or not, as he signed them as a young age. He had proper eye tests, he has proper eye for detail, and he knew if a player is gonna be mostly baller or he's gonna be a flop. Let's be real. Wenger's talent ID is pretty much a sole reason why Arsenal got the bargain deals for Vieira, for Henry, players like that, and who basically carried us over the line and won us Premier Leagues and FA Cups. Let's not kid ourselves. So, if he speaks about youngsters, better listen, and better listen carefully. Because our current talent ID genuinely is as useful as a trash can. Let's not kid ourselves. If I see Liverpool scouting Saladin again, dude, trust me, Nottingham Forest are even looking at Saladin from youngster levels. Edu already is doing his thing there, so give it time. Genuinely. Arsene Wenger thinks Ethan Nwaneri is more of a creator of a final ball through. his dribbling skills and his passing abilities. He says the boy has Fabregas mentality. And trust me, that's a very big praise coming from the Frenchman, the best, arguably the best Arsenal manager of all time. Obviously, it would be, I would say mostly it would be between George Graham and Arsene Wenger for most Arsenal fans, from what at least that's how I would gather it. But obviously it would be a debate. But I've totally agree with this. Ranieri should be playing in a 10 in Odegaard role. Odegaard should be sold first of all. But yeah, Ranieri should be in the 10 role, because the way he can dribble, the way he can pass the final through ball, we have seen this countless times, the way he is very direct. We need that from the number 10 spot. We need that. We need more energy, more forward movement, more directness, more skills, trickery, ability from our number 10. And obviously, Martin Odegaard doesn't provide us with that. And we need that more than anything. And why Mikel Arteta, on consistent basis while Odegaard was injured, refused to play Ranieri in the 10 role is one of the biggest mysteries in the world, let's be real. Arteta, since he's been here, has never played Zinchenko as a midfielder. We saw what he did again on the weekend for West Ham. He actually subbed him on as a number 8. Like, make it make sense. 5.5 years in charge, never plays in 3 years with him, never 3 almost plays him as a left back, never in midfield. All of a sudden plays him in the midfield. Like, make it make sense. Like, that's because he started Merino up top. That's what it is. Phase 5, we play our number 8, number 6, number 8 as a striker, and he basically has to resolute to either subbing on Jorginho as a left 8 or Zinchenko as a left 8, which he has never played as a left 8. It makes zero sense whatsoever. And now again it comes down to recruitment, his inability to be a fucking proper manager and sign a proper striker. Fuck's sakes, I'm getting my emotions back. Oh my god, you can see that I want this man out of the club. Fucking hell. But yeah, it all comes from that. If he actually had the 800 million, he would have invested it properly, not in bums like Vieira and Kiwi and other morons. We actually would have a proper striker, not in Havertz, but actually a striker up top. We wouldn't have to resolute to playing Merino as a striker, and then all of a sudden playing Zinchenko as a number 8 for the first time in 3 years since he's been here. Make it make sense. Make it make bloody sense. And to be honest, that is Zinchenko's position. Zinchenko is like a number 10/number 8. Like a proper one. Ranieri's position is number 10, not right wing. It's just a matter of class that he actually had to do something there. And Odegaard hiding like a little bitch, sorry for swearing and calling him names, but like a little bitch and passing it to Ranieri and hoping he bails him out, is a pathetic move from our captain. Because he did the same thing, goddamn, with Saka. Because when Odegaard was out, Saka carried the team. Now that Saka is out, Odegaard is shitting his pants and doing fuck all. Like, this is actually kind of pathetic, to say the least. Well, exactly. And that's the thing, he's 17 years old, and he shows more maturity, more passion, more energy, and more responsibility than our so-called experienced veteran players. It's actually kind of nuts. It's Arteta, man. He needs to get out. It's exactly Zinchenko in the 8 or 10, Ranieri in the 10, depends how you look at things, but no chance in hell that Ranieri should play at the right wing. One of the biggest things we're missing from our number 10, obviously, is goals and assists. Let's be real, because Odegaard couldn't create, I don't know what he couldn't create. But let's be real. What we need from our number 10 is the final through ball, some dribbling, some quick and fast move in action, some quick triangles, direct approach, some shooting, and some proper in-between through balls. Some directness, some energy. And that's what Ranieri provides with us on the wing. We need that through the middle. We need that through the goddamn middle. That's what Odegaard is lacking the most. Vanjiri doesn't take 15 million touches to unleash the ball. Odegaard does. That's the biggest issue. Odegaard slows the game so much down that it feels like the game is starting to go backwards. It's like Back to the Future and everything. Saka FC, exactly. Saka has carried this team for as long as he's been here, pretty much. And let's be real, it's pretty much evident now that Saka is basically the reason why Odegaard is who he is today at Arsenal. Because Saka is carrying this team so heavily that Odegaard is actually getting some assists from Saka solely because Saka has moments of brilliance. Saka may not have the greatest games on the consistent basis, but he gets GA. He actually gets us over the line. Odegaard is neither or. He doesn't have great games. He doesn't get us over the line. He hides. He hides and disappears. We saw that, how he ran away from the ball yesterday, 2 days ago. It was 2-on-2, give it in between the lines. Odegaard's in 1-on-1. On the strong foot as well. What Odegaard did, run behind the defender, and then it was, instead of 2-on-2, it was 2-on-6. Like, make it make sense. It's actually embarrassing, dude. It's actually embarrassing. Dude, Odegaard is so bad, he makes Squillace look good. It's actually embarrassing, man. It's actually goddamn embarrassing, to say the least. Okay, a bit of positive news. That Ben White has spoken to Thomas Tuchel on a potential return to the England national team. Obviously, England national team for the qualifiers is going to get announced in 2 weeks. And there is a possibility Ben White could return to English national team. So we'll see if it's going to happen or not. But definitely England needs a proper right back. And Ben White obviously is one of the options. So let's not kid ourselves. If he goes, if he gets called up, big up to him. Big up to him in that regard. At least Tommy Tuchel could give him a chance. This is a big one. This is a massive one. According to Sachetavolieri, Ademola Lookman apparently is going to leave Atalanta this summer. It's pretty much confirmed. That is some massive news. Now the big question is, would Arsenal sign him? Would Arsenal sign Lookman? Sorry. Would Arsenal sign Lookman? That is a big, big question. Would Arsenal sign Lookman? Wouldn't mind. I actually would love to see Lookman at Arsenal. I know it hasn't worked out for him in Premier League, where was he? Leicester? Everton, if I'm not mistaken. Somewhere in those teams he has played. Fulham, I think. Fulham and Leicester, something in those lines. It hasn't worked out, but coming to Serie A, he has basically become more of a team player than individual player, and it's actually worked for him, and he has totally opened a different dimension for himself. So for me, the biggest question is, would that work? Would that work for him? That for me is the biggest question. Should Arsenal try and entertain the idea of signing him? Because I would. The question is, would Arsenal entertain the idea of signing Lookman to the team? Yeah, Benny Blanco could be back. To get negotiations done now. I totally get that. The issue with this is, though, straight after Rudy Galeazzi came out with the news. That apparently Nottingham, Newcastle and Man United are interested. I beg he doesn't go to Manchester United, because United are talent killers to maximum extent. That is also a thing. I wouldn't mind Lookman. Lookman on the left wing would be very interesting, since Arteta wants a right-footed player on the wing. It wouldn't be the worst of situations. That is the big thing. Retzegi I'm not too sure about. Rezzeghi is a hit and miss. The Italian strikers coming out from Italy moving to Premier League is a big hit and miss these days. Very big hit and miss. Scamacca didn't work. Moise Kean didn't work and everything. Is it fair, Balotelli, is it fair to say that the last Italian forward that has worked in Premier League is Gianfranco Zola? Is it actually fair to say that? That is for me a big question. Instead of flirting with Seshko, not buying him all season. Exactly. That's the one thing I don't want to see this summer, especially Arsenal being linked with 65 million strikers, and at the end we don't sign anyone, or we sign on loan some bum who doesn't work for us at all. I want either we sign a proper striker or we sack the manager and sign a proper striker. One of the two. Because Lookman actually would work on the wing and as a striker. That actually could work to a T. The issue with this is, though, Lookman needs space. For me, the biggest issue is Lookman needs space to play proper football. And Arteta doesn't do that. Arteta plays camping on edge of the box like a moron. He should be changing his style, but will he? Who knows? Obviously. And that for me is a big issue. Even if we sign him, would that work? Because these days, as we all know, Arteta doesn't sign players and adjust the system to fit the players. He adjusts players to fit his system. And that's basically what's ruining us every single season. He has signed physical athletes instead of actually signing skilled players that actually could get the job done. So, it is what it is. But Ademola Lookman, I don't know. I don't know. Because I would love to see Lookman at Arsenal. The thing is, under this manager, not sure he would succeed. That for me is the biggest drawback in that regard about everything. I'm not gonna lie. So that is a big issue. But yeah, I think on that note, I'm gonna end today's stream. I'm gonna relax. I'm gonna chill. Work day tomorrow, of course, and everything tomorrow. Nottingham Forest versus Arsenal preview. Won't be a pretty one, I'm not gonna lie. We'll see how that goes. But yeah, hopefully something happens, something changes. Although I wouldn't put my money on it. Although there's less pressure on Arsenal now. And we all know that when we are under pressure, we play like shit. And when we have almost no pressure, we play like goats, pretty much. That's why we can blitz teams when we play with no pressure. That is the biggest issue with Arsenal. When we are under pressure, we fall like a wet piece of paper. So time only will tell. But for today, that's gonna be it. So like the stream if you haven't already. Subscribe if you're new around here. Leave your thoughts down in comments below. Take care. Have a nice evening. Enjoy your evening. Big up Marlon. Big up Marlon. Big up Marlon who dropped by. Big up Liam. Big up everyone who watched. Take care. Stay safe. And have a nice evening. Peace.